Okay, so the school year is almost over. We have, today's Tuesday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to have you take one more test on Friday because that helps me to average your grades because we haven't taken very many tests this quarter. But what we're going to do is we're going to skip over one page because this page here combines that day plus this day, and that way we will get to be able to divide fractions. I would like for you guys to be able to do that before we finish the year. Okay, so today you're going to skip a page and we're going to do page 275 to 276, and we are multiplying fractions like we've been doing the last couple days, school days. And the only difference is it's going to have a mixed number. Remember what a mixed number is? It's a whole number plus a fraction. So if you bought pizza for your party, and let's say you bought 4 pizzas. Oh, that marker is completely dry. Let's say you bought 4 whole pizzas and you guys ate them all, and when you put them all back together, you didn't eat them all, but you had a 1.5 left, okay? This is 1 whole pizza and a half of one. So we call this a mixed number. It's a whole number plus a fraction, okay? Now, if you had 1.5 pizzas left and you wanted to know how many pieces that is, let's use fourths instead. It makes a little more sense. You don't usually eat a whole half pizza unless it's like a little pizza. If you're eating just a little mini pizza, you could eat a half of that, I guess. But let's pretend it's a bigger pizza and you have 1 1/4 pizza left. Okay, so in order to, most likely every pizza was cut up, we'll say. So this pizza is also cut up into fourths. And how many fourths would 1 whole pizza be? It would be 4 fourths, right? That means there's no pieces taken away from that. So 4 fourths plus 1/4 would equal 5 fourths, right? So if you have 1 1/4 pizzas left, you have 5 fourths pizzas left. Does that make sense? Okay, so before we can multiply fractions that have mixed numbers, we have to turn it into an improper fraction. So if we were going to figure out what half of 1 1/4 would be, let's do this first so we know the answer. We know what half of 1 whole pizza would be. It would be a half, right? Okay, and then we talked briefly about this. What would half of a fourth be? Okay, here's a pizza cut into fourths, and then if you made each one of those, took half of each one of those, that ends up making it into eighths. You double your denominator, right? So a half of a fourth, okay, let's get back to where there was just a fourth here. There's that fourth. A half of a fourth is 1/8, right? Because this is 1/8 and this is 1/8. So an eighth plus an eighth is a fourth. So half of 1 whole pizza would be half, and then half of a fourth would be an eighth, right? Okay, so if we added these two together, we'd have to put this back into halves. We would, we'd have to make the half into eighth. And okay, so back to this. 4/8 would be a half, plus that eighth is going to be 5/8. That's what half of 1 1/4 is. And this is how you can figure that out faster. The way I did it might have been confusing to you. Just hang on for just a second. So if we wanted to figure out what half of 1 1/4 is, we multiply it. And it'll be much faster. But we can't multiply the mixed number. It has to be in a fraction. You either need to multiply whole numbers or fractions. You can't multiply both. Okay? So remember how we did this backward C thing? Okay, we do 4 times 1 plus 5 would be 5 fourths, right? Because if you took that 4 fourths pizza plus 1/4, that's 5 fourths pizzas, right? And it's just a faster way to do that. Instead of stopping and tearing it apart, you just do this. You multiply this one. 4 times 1 is 4, and add this last fourth in, 5 fourths. So it equals 5 fourths. And if we want to know what half of that is, we multiply it, okay? So 5 times 1 is 5. 4 times 2 is 8. Da, 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 da. It's it's like magic. See, they both work. Okay, but don't you agree this is a faster way? Just multiplying it really quickly instead of drawing pictures and trying to figure out what's half of half, and I got to put the half into eighths and all this stuff, right? This is much faster. But you just got to remember that if you have a mixed number, you've got to put it into an incomplete, or a, what do you call it? I'm sorry, my brain's not working. Not an incomplete fraction. There's no such thing. Improper fraction. See, my brain is ready for spring break. I mean, for summer. I know. You're saying right now, Luke, I can hear you. You're saying, Mrs. Meyer, your brain. Actually, Luke wouldn't have said that. Maybe Izzy or Vincent might have said, Mrs. Meyer, your brain's been ready for summer all year long. Yeah, it really has. I'm getting too old. My brain's not working as well. Enjoy your brain while it's good right now, because you're going to get old faster than you think. Okay, so let me make this a little bit bigger just so I make sure you see it. Okay, to change an improper fraction, you do this. 4 times 1 plus this one. And a teacher a few years back called it a backward C. Even though to me that's not backwards, that's still a C. It's just that you're drawing it the different way. We normally draw it this way. Most people draw down. This one you go upside down. I call it the upside down C, not the backward C. Okay, so we multiply first, then we add. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and the denominator stays the same, 5/4. See how much easier that is? Okay, and so if you want to go back to the page that we're skipping, that's all you're doing, is you're multiplying a mixed number by a fraction, I think it is, and today we're just going to go straight to multiplying mixed numbers. So really on the other page, all you had to do is remember how to do that. Change the improper fraction, the mixed number, to an improper fraction, and then you multiply it times, like we always do, times the fraction. And today it's just multiplying mixed numbers by mixed numbers, okay? So listen to this. It says the balcony of Gianna's apartment measures 5.5 feet by 7.25 feet. Estimate the area of her balcony. Okay, estimate. Remember, we like that. Okay, so 1/4, is that larger or smaller than a half? That is smaller. So we're going to round that one off down to 7. Okay, and 5.5, the half makes us bump that up to 6. So it would be 6, the product. That's multiply, right? Right, Demetrius? I heard you say it. 6 times 7. Okay? The estimate of the product of mixed numbers, round each mixed number to the nearest whole number and multiply. So it should be 6 times 7 would be 42. So down here it says, think of the fractions relationship to half. We did that. We did that. So let's keep moving on down and get this done faster. Okay, so we know. Okay, so here it is. 6 times 7 is 42. Okay, so when we do this problem, we should keep in mind, okay, this is close to 6, this is close to 7, 6 times 7 is 42. So when we get done with this, it should be in the neighborhood of 42. Remember, this is just a way to mentally check to see if you're doing the answer right. So if you come up with something way different than 42, then you probably should go back and try again. Okay, so that's what we're doing in this first section. We are going to estimate, it says round each factor to the nearest whole number and estimate the product. Okay, so we just said 3.5 is a lot like 4. Let me get a different marker. I don't like this one. Is this better? Oh, much better. Okay, so this is really close to 4. This is really close to what? What would half and sixths be? It would be 3/6. So this is smaller than a half. So we would say 4 times 1 is 4. And it says to estimate the product, so that means we don't have to actually do these problems, we're just going to estimate them. Okay, so number 2, 5.5, half goes up, rounds up, so 5.5 would be considered 6, and 1/4, is that smaller or larger than half? By now you should know those, just like this, and not have to think. 1/4, 2/4 is half, so 1/4 is smaller, so this is like 6 times 2, which is 12. Okay, so that's what you're doing in that section. Easy peasy. I think the kindergartners could probably do that, right? Then we're back to writing mathematical expressions for the phrase. And remember, expression is not an equation. Equation, you have to actually give the equal sign and the answer. An expression is just writing it out as a problem. Okay, so the product of 1/4 and 3/8. So we would write 1/4 times 3/8. You thought this, did you think this section looked hard? Evan says, nah, we got this. Okay, 3 more than 7 1/2. More would suggest that 7 1/2 plus 3 more. CMR says, oh, this is easy. Yep, I heard you, CMR. You're right, it is. Okay, the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. Difference of 4/5 and 1/3, so 4/5 minus 1/3, right? 2 and 1/6 multiplied by 1 and 3/4. So we write 2 and 1/6 multiplied by 1 and 3/4. Okay, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to let you guys finish that section. It is so simple. Then at the very bottom, number 16 says to solve it. Now we actually have to solve it. Up at the above, we were doing the estimating now, and then the expression. Now we're going to solve them. Okay, so I'm going to make it big enough so I make sure you guys can see it on the video. Okay, 7 times 2/3. Okay, remember, if we're multiplying by a whole number, we put it over 1 because it's still one big, it's 7 whole pieces, right? They're not divided. They're all in one, still in one piece. And then we still multiply the top numbers. These are the numerators, these are the denominators. 7 times 2 is 14. 1 times 3 is 3. And remember, we can't leave it improper. 14 divided by 3. 14 divided by 3. That's how we say it. The divider is the denominator. Say it with me. The divider is the denominator. The divider is the denominator. Or the divisor is the denominator. So how many times will 14 go into 3? 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Has 2 left over. We make that into a fraction. The divisor is the denominator. 2/3. Okay? So this one equals 4 and 2/3. That's 16. 18 is still right here, so let's work on it before we move over. 18 is 3/5 times 4/9. This time we don't have to worry about a whole number. We just multiply across. Don't you love this? 3 times 4 is 12. 5 times 9 is 45. And can that be reduced? Let's see here. 3 will go into 12, but, oh yes, 3 goes into 45. So yes, 12 doesn't go into 45. 6, no. 3 will. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 3 goes into 45 15 times. So our answer is 4/15. You got to make sure you put it down into simplify it. Smallest terms. This time we reduced it. We divided both numbers by the same number. We divided both numbers by 3. Sorry, I kind of did that in my head instead of saying it out loud. And this one up here is top heavy, so we divide the top number by the bottom number, write the remainder as a fraction. Remember that? Okay, let's look at 17 and 19. Okay, 17 has a whole number again, so it's still two pizzas not cut up yet. They're in whole pizzas. Now we multiply the numerators and the denominators. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 1 is 6. How many 6s are in 10? 1 with how much left over? 4, 6, and both of those are divisible. They're both even numbers, so they're both divisible by 2. Good. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 1 and 2/3 is our answer to that one. And then this one's real fun because there's no mixed numbers or whole numbers. Just multiply across. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Those are both even numbers. So what do we need to divide it by? I think I heard Riley say it. Riley, or maybe it was Lily. They both have quiet voices. Divide it by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our answer is 1/3. That's the bottom of that page. Okay, turn it over to the back. Now, it says to multiply when both numbers are mixed numbers. And you know what? I'm just going to skip all this because I like the way that we do it in our Leopard books better. So let me teach you that way. If you like it better up there, you can read that up there too if you don't get this. But I think this might be a little bit of a shortcut the way that we do it in the Leopard book. Okay? It says to rename the mixed number, but we do the backwards C, or the upside down C, in the Leopard book, which we were just talking about at the beginning of this video. Okay, so we're going to go around, right? Upside down C. Multiply these two, then add this one. Okay, and then we're going to rewrite it down here. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. This didn't change. We're figuring out how many halves we have. We have 5 whole pizzas. If we cut all of them into half, we'd end up with 10 halves, right? Plus 1 more half, because it's 5 and 1 half, not just 5. So we have 11 halves times 2 and a fourth. These pizzas are cut into fourths. So we're going to end up with fourth as our denominator. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply. How many fourths are in 2 whole pizzas? 4 times 2 is 8. Plus, that's the 2 whole pizzas, is 8 fourths. Plus 1 more fourth, because it's 2 and 1 fourth, right? So it's 9 fourths. Do you see? I'm going to stop explaining it like that, though, because it slows us down. I'm just making sure you got it. Okay? Then we just multiply across. 11 times 9 is 99. 2 times 4 is 8. Then it's improper. So this is a division problem. Divide the top number by the bottom number. Write the remainder as a fraction. 99 divided by 8. So I'm going to come down here and do that. 99 divided by 8. Okay? 8 goes into 9 one time. And we have 1 as a remainder. The password is smaller. And it is smaller, and I'm getting kind of off the camera there. Okay, so bring down the 9. Okay, 8 goes into 19 2 times, because 8 times 3 is 24. That's too much. 8 times 2 is 16. 19 minus 16 is 3. And the divisor is the denominator. The numerator is the remainder. So 12 and 3/8. 12 and 3/8 is our answer. Do you see how we got there? Okay. That's what all of these problems are, except for the very bottom section again. The very bottom section again is review again. Okay? So I'm going to do this top row with you, 20, 21, 22, and then the rest of it you're going to be on your own with. So we can see if you're getting it. Okay? Backwards or upside down C. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 thirds times 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. And we keep the denominators stay the same. 3 times 4 is 12, 13 fourths. And now I have kind of a mess here. Multiply across. 5 times 13 is a big number. It's not one that I know readily. That would be 65. 3 times 4 is 12. So we're going to divide the top number by the bottom number, write the remainder as a fraction. Remember that? 12 times 5 is 60. So there's 5, and the denominator is going to stay 12. How many more left over besides 60? 5. So it's going to be 5 and 5/12. Can we reduce 5/12? Nope. Because 5 doesn't go into 12, and they're not both even numbers, etc. Okay, one more on this page. 22. Okay, backward C, upside down C, whatever you want to call it. 4 times 3 is, whoa, sorry people. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12 plus 3 is 15 fourths times 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 halves. Okay, multiply across. 15 times 5 is 75, and 4 times 2 is 8. Do you know your 8 times tables? 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 10 is 80. That's too much. So we're going to stick with 9. 8 times 9 is 72. What's 75 minus 72? 3. So it's going to, 8 is going to remain our remainder, our divisor. Denominator, and we have 3 left over. 9 and 3/8. 3 and 8 are not both even. 3 does not go into 8. They don't have a number in common. So 9 and 3/8 is the correct answer. So you guys can finish out that page, and then tomorrow we're going to start on dividing with fractions. It'll be fun. Don't be afraid. Was this scary? No, you were probably scared at first, but look how easy it is. Division is easy too. It's almost exactly like this. I'm telling you, you're way past the hard part. Addition, subtraction, fractions is harder, much harder than multiplying and dividing. You'll see. Just wait till tomorrow.